Today's video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Hey y'all, it's me, the amazing Busser Man, and welcome back to Hot or Hot. Today we're going to be reviewing the grand finale of Drag Race Philippines Slaysian Royale, where we saw one final runway from each of our eliminated Slaysian divas, plus our top 4 were challenged to show us their talents and walk a 3-part runway. Categories were Defying Gravity, Yellow, 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 and Come in Your Best Drag. Come in Your Best Drag? So we'll be going queen by queen to break all that down, as well as discussing my final thoughts on the season and doing a little post-mortem at the end of the video. But before we jump into the Slaysian Royale finale, we do have some exciting news to report on coming out of the Drag Race Mexico franchise. The Hollywood Reporter reported just this week that a Drag Race Mexico Latina Royale spinoff is officially in the works, where they wrote Latina Royale will spotlight a cast of all Latin queens from different shows across the global franchise. The new series notably follows in the footsteps of WoW's Drag Race Philippines Slaysian Royale, and where they go on to say a host has not yet been revealed for Latina Royale, but Drag Race Philippines has also been renewed for a 4th season, and both these 2 newly confirmed seasons will premiere in 2026. And now onto the grand finale of Slaysian Royale, we are crowning a Grant T.I.T.E, which kicks off with one final runway from each of our eliminated queens, which was really great to see, but did kind of have me scratching my head because this was all we saw of the eliminated queens in this episode, and in fact, I don't even think that they were there physically present for the finale. Like, I think they literally had these queens film these runways on their last days on the show and then just cut them into this segment. And I thought queens like Yuhua and Khianna with a K absolutely deserve a shout out here. They looked incredible. But yeah, it would have probably been nice to have all the eliminated queens at the finale the entire time as well. Anyways, boo! It's me, Hello Bussy, and my pumpkin senses are detecting that you may be browsing the internet without a VPN. Let's fix that. So everyone knows Surfshark VPN, the sponsor of today's video, can help you virtually change your location to access geo-restricted content on streaming platforms like every season of RuPaul's Drag Race. But guess what, Mimi? Surfshark can also help you avoid price discrimination with shopping online for things like hotel bookings and plane tickets. And now for the twist. Yes, y'all wanted a twist. Surfshark can also help you access apps and even spicy websites that may be blocked in your home state or country. And most importantly, Surfshark can help keep you safe when browsing online by encrypting all of your internet traffic in a VPN tunnel. And now for the gag of the season, Surfshark VPN can be used on all of your devices with unlimited device login. So what are you waiting for? Unblock the internet and secure your internet privacy today by visiting surfshark.com/Bussy and use code Bussy at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark. Thanks Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. Let's go and break down the runways and performances from our top 4 finalists in the order they performed. First up, we've got Arizona Brandy, who in her Defying Gravity runway is wearing her favorite and signature color, orange. And y'all, let me just say, this is probably one of the most breathtaking and gorgeous looks Arizona has served the entire competition. I think she looks effortlessly glamorous, and that flowy fabric on her is absolutely beautiful. Also, the detail here she included of putting a love letter to local Filipino queens on the back of her gown that flows beautifully in a train. Knock knock! Who's there? Orange. This look is hot. And also I want to take the opportunity to acknowledge here that this runway is called Defying Gravity, which may, yes, be a reference to Wicked, the musical, but is also a reference to them literally lifting the queens up into the air to do aerial stunts in hoops, which gagged me a little bit for sure because I was watching this thinking this was just going to be a normal runway, and then boom, cut to Arizona swinging from the chandelier. From the chandelier. Arizona's second look in the yellow, yellow, yellow category is, I think, not quite as successful as her orange look in the first one, cause it's kind of giving me Cuckoo Bird's Nest meets Teletubbies Sun Baby. Well, she's got this really interesting component on the back part of her dress that we see she's able to pop up at the end of the runway so it flares around her to look, I guess, like flower petals or sun rays or a yellow velociraptor. Which is to point out, I think there were a lot of different ideas that went into this dress, but maybe not enough focus on one concept, but it was overall okay, so I leave this with like a safe hot. And in her final category, Come in Your Best Drag. Come in Your Best Drag. She is once again on the runway one final time, giving us an orange explosion of orange eleganza. And orange, I'm glad she did. She says this look is inspired by her promos she did for the season, but is more abstract and grand, where the bottom part of the dress is basically a giant explosion of what looks to me like flower petals or special parts. I love how the crystal and rhinestone work on this. The densities on those edges are really pretty. And while this idea of being a phoenix and having you rebirth may be a little overplayed and cliche, specifically in this season. I think the look does look great on her, and I'm definitely gonna give it a. And for her talent, Arizona Brandy says her performance is a reflection of her drag in the Arizona Brandy experience, which she starts off seemingly soft and tranquil with some more traditional sounding music, and where visually we see her prancing around the stage with 3 cups partially filled with liquids, 1 in each hand and 1 balancing on the top of her head. And finally, after singing her little song, she combines the liquids and then chugs the final cup, and the whole performance turns into this crazy EDM bass dropping moment with her singing Arizona B. B is for Budots, which apparently is a Filipino EDM genre. And in the rest of her performance, physically, she's doing some chair work, balancing in the middle, and also playing with her vape, because this would not be an Arizona Brandy performance without some vape tricks. And the thing about her performance is, I feel this would do really well in a nightclub, but considered for television, I'm not so sure this performance was fully fleshed out, because there just didn't seem to be enough visual escalation in the performance. But I am happy that someone in this top 4 took the opportunity in their talent show performance to give us a little bit of comedy. Overall, I would give this performance a safe hot. And next up, ding ding ding, it's Brigiding, who in her Defying Gravity runway is giving us a look inspired by divine intervention and the secret universes we all hold within. Direct quote. And this look is really, really gorgeous. It's flowy, it's long, it's ethereal, and it's kind of reminding me of those little Barbie dolls that you like crank on the toy to spin, you know, the one from the meme that like spun into the fire. And this look is probably one of the best for what they were doing with the Defying Gravity hoop work. She looks great up there. This look is totally. And for our second look, yellow, yellow, yellow. Mama, y'all want to talk about fine drag. Y'all want to talk about pageant perfection. Y'all want to talk about a queen being at the top of her game visually. This look is gorgeous. It's pure perfection. I love the details of how it looks from the front versus the back with the different textures. Plus, Brigiding shares in her confessional that there is a message behind this look, saying it's a symbol for everyone who marched in the EDSA revolution, which was, the internet will tell you, a sustained campaign of civil resistance against regime violence and electoral fraud in the 80s. Drag is art, drag is a protest, and drag is herstory. Brigiding did this runway right, and it's totally. And for our final come in your best drag look, she's giving us ethereal goddess of the stars, shapes, sun, moon, Venus, and Uranus. She is the regal galaxy leader, sending us into the time warps across dimensions and galaxies. And that shot of her at the back of the stage with that deep navy color contrasting with that space bodysuit thing that she's got underneath is absolutely show-stopping. The only issue I had with this look was how it moved down the runway. It's really bouncy in the collar section, and I feel like some supports or attachments to the other shoulder would have really helped this look present on the runway. But it is an interstellar look nonetheless, and I am gonna give it a. For her talent, Brigiding performs an original number, Brighter's Day. And in this performance, she is bringing us high energy main pop girl dance track complete with backup dancers for almost the entire performance. There's a lyric in this performance where she says, "I'm the brand, understand?" That I think appropriately sells exactly what she's throwing down here. And as far as tricks, shenanigans, and tomfoolery, she holds no punches back. She does cartwheels into splits, and she also misses no opportunities to sing her name in the song with lyrics like, "I'm a star, ding, 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 ding." The only thing I didn't really care for in this performance was her bringing back the learning is the new winning catchphrase that she keeps trying to make happen. And while I think the sentiment of it is nice, it is starting to feel a little bit like Gretchen and Fetch from Mean Girls, because my question is, do you really think anybody's gonna be screaming back to you from the crowd, learning is the new winning? I don't know, maybe they might, but in this economy where RuPaul has already established that losing is the new winning, and in the same economy where you can't pass go into the badunkadunk tank without a RuPaul Charles chocolate bar, honey, I don't think so. But who knows, maybe learning is the new winning. Either way, I always love seeing a queen get tossed into the air by the pit crew, and Brigiding did that. This performance was hot, hot, hot. And next up, welcome to the dollhouse, it is Suki Doll, who in her Defying Gravity runway is wearing what I think is probably my least favorite look from Suki Doll we've seen from her this season. I just feel like the fabric panel elements attached to this catsuit are not sitting correctly. Like, something about this feels a little jumbled, a little messy, a little unfinished. And it does look okay when she is swinging from the hoop and the flowy fabric is the focus, but as she's walking this down the runway, I'm not really buying what she's throwing down. I'm gonna give this look a. Her second look, though, for Yellow, Yellow, Yellow is an homage to the Vegas showgirl, where she looks sickening head to toe. The costumery of this, the headpiece, the wings, all the feathers. I mean, like, everything about this is just over the top glamazon craziness. And also, I feel kind of unexpected for a queen like Suki Doll, who doesn't really do very much showgirls-inspired drag, or at least hasn't on this season. And so to see her stepping outside of her box and doing something traditional yet done so well in yellow was really cool. This look is absolutely. And for her final look, come in your best drag, Suki Doll served up my favorite look of the entire finale. This look is giving us candy club kid techno raver on a trip with this oozy green slime and pink bubblegum aesthetic that is just crazy. It's weird, and unlike anything I think we've ever seen from Suki Doll or any of these queens, this look is so unique to this season, and I feel like really is just a wonderful testament to how Suki Doll has continually surprised us on the runway every single week. Peace, love, unity, and respect. This look is moving into Suki's talent show performance, though. Suki describes her talent show as a connection to her roots, meant to celebrate her heritage in the most cultural and respectful way, which I feel like is an appropriate primer for what she served us. We see her performance starting off with her in the center of the stage with a pretty but kind of monstery looking mask, and we hear what is, I think, an actual recording of her mother's voice talking about how much she loves her child, Suki Doll. We then start to see Suki's costume transform as the headpiece comes off, which is replaced with a large golden crown, and it is at this point we start to hear her speaking back to her mother, saying how thankful she is for raising her. And this tribute to her mother is absolutely beautiful. However, while this was a beautiful performance, I'm not so sure it was one that made a lot of sense for a Drag Race grand finale. It was notably the shortest of the four, and compared to the other queens in this cast, Suki didn't include a lot of physical performance. And so for what it was, yeah, I would say this was hot, but in the context of doing a performance for a RuPaul's Drag Race grand finale on TV, I'm not so sure the media matched what was trying to be done here, so I'm gonna leave this with the warming up. And last but not least, smile, it's Viñas DeLuxe, who in her Defying Gravity look says she is giving us ethereal koi fish. This look is simple, gorgeous, and I love the fun fin elements on her shoulders, giving it lots of good shape and movement when she's up in that hoop. I also like that we got to see her as blonde here, which we didn't see that much this season, but I do like on her. This look is, and for her second look, yellow, yellow, yellow. Now you see her? No, you don't. We got Viñas in this My Fair Lady-esque silhouette where she's doing this awesome illusion that she's an invisible person in a draggy gown. And we hear her talk about how this runway is meant to represent how she felt invisible as a young gay kid, and says that she found her power and visibility through drag. And Viñas is just so good at illusion and interesting runways, and this is just one example. From this season, we've seen that crazy gremlin look, the Jesus face reveal in the dress from the first episode, and then of course the makeover episode where she dressed like Mariah. This look was barely there, but was certainly one of the most interesting of the night, and definitely. And for Viñas' final look, come in your best drag, we see her showing up as a glamorous cockroach, which is absolutely bonkers batshit crazy. Because like, what do you mean the judges said come in your best glamorous glamazon drag and you showed up as a cockroach? But I appreciate that she did it. I think Viñas did a good job mixing the glamour of being a drag queen with the disgustingness of being a cockroach, and has some fun Mugler-esque elements like the antenna and the wig. I love how she's got those armor looking pieces meant to look like the cockroach body parts on the front. This look is and for her talent, Viñas is performing her original track, Mrs. It, which is for all intents and purposes here, I think best described as a good old classic Drag Race bitch track. She's got lyrics in this like glow up, fresh looks, on stage I command, my songs are sickening, tens, tens, tens. And Miss Viñas is doing anything and everything on this stage as she sings with the backing track, running around doing somersaults, kicks, and splits. And then halfway through this high energy dance track, we start to hear her belt out the lyrics with her awesome singing voice. And this was all good and fun, but then the performance ends in a kind of confusing way where she's smashing bottles over her head and then eating a banana out of the bikini of one of the pit crew members. Which is to say, for all of the energy and excitement put into this, I was a little confused by the overall messaging, and I wanted a better framing for this performance. I think there was a lot of time on stage that was just Viñas that could have been enhanced by having backup dancers, kind of like Brigiding did, and maybe some of this was lost in translation, but yeah, I was looking for a better thread of connection between the three parts of this performance with the high energy, the singing, and then the destroying props on top of my head piece. This was a journey, and it left me confused, entertained, and impressed. So overall, I guess I've got to give it a high. But are y'all ready for the twist? Cause y'all wanted a twist. The twist is that we are not just crowning the Grant T.I.T.E of the competition, the winner of the season, and the person who will be hanging in the Slaysian Royale annex of the International Pavilion Hall of Fame for the rest of drag eternity. We are also crowning a Miss Congeniality. Congeniality. Right after we see the runways from our top four, Mama Pao takes the opportunity to announce the winner of Miss Congeniality as voted by the queens, who is Suki doll, which is really fun and special for her because she actually also won Miss Congeniality on her original season of Canada's Drag Race. And so now Miss Suki doll is the first and only double Miss Congeniality from RuPaul's Drag Race. So congrats to Suki doll, but I've got to say, watching the finale, I thought the placement of the ceremony for Miss Congeniality was a little weird because they did it after the runways and before the talent show, and giving Suki a prize here in this moment kind of felt like they were discounting the opportunity for her to win. Because like in all of Drag Race herstory's hundreds of spinoffs and seasons, there never has been a winner who was also voted Miss Congeniality, which isn't to say it couldn't happen, unless there's some sort of rule behind the scenes that we don't know about. But yeah, watching her accept this title before she even did her talent show did kind of feel like a swan song to her being there at all. And also we've got a little conspiracy for Bussy Queen's Conspiracy Corner here to talk about, because y'all remember I mentioned that none of the eliminated queens were actually in the room with them for the finale? Well, my question is, what would have happened if one of the eliminated queens had been voted Miss Congeniality? Would they have brought them back to film this? I don't know. But this kind of makes me wonder if any of the queens were actually allowed to even vote for Miss Congeniality that wasn't in the top 4. Maybe not. But that's just a conspiracy. A drag conspiracy. But let's keep this train chugging because we've still got a Grant T.I.T.E to crown. After our queens walked 3 runways, showed us their talents, gave speeches about why they should win, talked to their younger selves via their baby photos, and heard heartfelt messages from family and friends via video calls played to the room, we finally have Mama Pow giving out 2 more karate chops before closing out the season. And Mama Pow announces that the top 2 queens of the season who will lip sync for the crown are Brigiding and Viñas DeLuxe, which is absolutely major for these 2 best friends in their own self-fulfilling prophecy way. And I think as a viewer, it was really cool to see them here in the finale in the top 2 together, making it to the very bitter end. Because several times throughout this season, I feel they were echoing this sentiment of needing to make it to the finale together and how they would only be happy if it was one of them who won. But was this the correct top 2? You'll have to let me know what y'all thought in the comments down below, but I did score each queen's runway and talent performance out of 5 hot flames, and if we are to go by my flame score chart, then yes, these 2 were the appropriate top 2 for this finale, and I couldn't be happier for them. I won't lie, it was kind of heartbreaking to not see Arizona make it into the final round of the finale, just because she had felt like such an underdog, and I really started to resonate with her campy, silly, goofy personality. But I suppose losing is the new winning, as well as learning. Anyways, Viñas and Brigiding lip sync to Born to Do Drag by Marina Summers, and for a finale lip sync for the crown, I don't lie, I kind of expected something a little more traditional or grand, but Marina's track was fun and dancey and gave the queens a lot of opportunity to show off their dancing skills on the stage one last time. And I did react to this finale over on my Patreon at patreon.com/BussyQueen. Make sure to check that out using the link below. But my general thoughts on this performance were, I felt Brigiding had more control throughout, and it was also cool to see her pop out those rehearsed choreo movements, whereas Viñas seems to be just kind of winging the whole thing. Plus, Brigiding also had a microphone prop for the faster pace section of the song and even waved her little race checkered flag at the end. Victory! What really sold Brigiding as the winner for this lip sync for me though was how Viñas chose to end it. Cause she does this thing where she like sits on the stage or squats and like reaches behind her to, I guess, get some red liquid, a canister that she's hiding God knows where, squirts it not only onto the stage but into her hands, and she then wipes it all over her face. And my question watching that was just like, why? Why are we doing this? Like, this is not like a horror themed song, so we wouldn't need blood. I don't know why she did that. This ain't RuPaul's best friend's blood race. Or maybe it is. Anyways, Brigiding ate this lip sync, ate this talent show, ate these runways, and ate this season with 3 wins across every episode, and I don't think there was a more deserving winner in this cast. So congratulations to Brigiding for snatching the crown. And may Brigiding's Drag Race reign be eternal, or at least prosperous until we have a new winner to celebrate next week. As for my final thoughts on this season, Slaysian Royale was, in a word, impressive. The talent showcased specifically from the Filipino half of this cast was mind-blowing, while also managing to keep everything so lighthearted and fun. And it was also awesome to just watch the Filipino girls push the performance aspect of drag to new heights on this season. These girls did Drag Race Philippines and really the Philippines as a whole so proud, I think, with this season. And in just that regard, I would say this season was a success, which is not to exclude any of the international girls from this season. I don't think it would have been the same without including queens like Yuhua and Suki doll. But there was definitely an in-group and out-group in this cast, and that was partially the producer's fault because half the cast were early outs from their respective franchises, and none of the other countries had more than one queen as representation. And so we have this situation this season where we've got all these Filipino finalists itching, scratching, yearning for a crown. And then the other half of the cast, which was essentially a group of strangers, both to themselves and the Filipino girls, who were mostly, I think, just happy to be there because they were all early outs from their respective seasons. And should they do a Slaysian Royale season 2, which I would be totally all for, loved everything about this season, I would love to see them cast a more diverse set of queens, speaking in terms of both how they placed on their original seasons and the countries they're representing. I think a cast of 12 queens, no more than 3 should be from one country, which would naturally promote alliance building between the girls and not force this in versus out group dichotomy we had with this cast. And also, for the love of God, if they're going to continue this season, they need to fix the stage lights. There were so many times in this season where runways were completely blown out, just so overlit that the queens are walking down the runway in blobs of color. And that is a crime. But yeah, this was a great season. I really enjoyed the cast and getting to know specifically these Filipino queens because they have got some major talent. And I hope you enjoyed my hot or rots of this season. Don't forget to let me know what you thought about everything down in the comments below. Finally, for hottest hots in this finale, for the 3-part runway package, I'm gonna give my hottest hot to Brigiding. And in the talent show, I'm gonna give my hottest hot to Brigiding. I also asked my patrons to vote on their hottest hots, and this week they've chosen Suki doll for the runway package and Brigiding for the talent show. I also want to give one more huge thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark VPN. I've loved using Surfshark to help secure my online privacy for years now, and I know you'll love it too. Just visit surfshark.com/Bussy and use code Bussy at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark. Oh, and Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk in just trying it out. Lastly, I want to give an extra special shout out to Fatty, Maddie, Mick, Fattyton, Felicia, Laura, Ashton, Matthew Burns, Will, and Tanner, and JBR, who are all supporting me at my Bussy Queen Collectors here at patreon.com. See y'all later. Love ya. Bye.